right, hey there, guys. Sam here with you on Wednesday, June 20th. We're kind of mid-morning here. Seems like a reasonable time to do an update on Bitcoin. Now, before we dig into it, just a reminder, feel free to follow us on Twitter if you're interested in this type of analysis. We're doing a lot of we're making a big effort there to try and engage with our followers. So whether it's a chart challenge or giving you access to our public Discord where you can kind of sample what it's like inside the Discord and the kind of service that we offer and the education that we offer to you. I want to encourage you to follow us over on Twitter. It's username Trade Devils with an S, Trade Devils. Find us on Twitter there. So with that said, let's get a little update here on Bitcoin. So here would be the bullish view. We're going to look at both what a bull sees and what a bear sees. My being in the bull camp, we're trying to making some efforts here to get something in, well, at least a motive wave. So we get something, we can get a good clean 5. Now we have some contenders here for a choppy 1-2-1-2. It's not the prettiest setup I've seen, but this is not unusual as a market that is struggling to try and establish a new trend, be putting in this kind of choppiness. So let's break it down a little bit because it's there. All right. So here, so this level here, that was that wave 3 low that I was just showing you. Well, I got to zoom back here to get it. So here's our that prior wave 3 low. So that's just structural resistance that we're going to run into. We know also we're going to run into, if I go from this 4 high to my low here, we've got this 50 and the 618 to try and get through. So we've got plenty of resistance to work through. As bulls, this is the critical pivot down here. This is our 59.21. Right, that's for bulls. That is our can't break line, at least for this variation of the count. Right, so possibly here now. So let me open this up so you can see it better here. So we have, it's a reasonable one here. It's not pretty, and it's. We have a clear diagonal. We get the overlap of the 1, but I can squeeze a 5 wave out of that to give me a leading diagonal into a 1 wave. Now I've got this kind of choppy A into a B, and I don't love the C, but yet there it is, and it is technical. So if we look there and think, okay, well now I can pull these off here, so we know that that's established up there. Algo play. So that's the first thought. So if I work from swing low, get it right on it, swing high. Well, I don't know how to give you any better evidence than that. This is a perfect algo play. So we go from swing low, swing high. We come right into the golden zone. Boom, right to target to the tick. Right? So, as I always will tell you, the evidence of algo participation is not this. It's this. It's the reaction at the target. So that is a clear algo trade there. So. Boom, they've taken some profit. Well, as Elliott traders, we're just trying to weave in and around that. That doesn't, just because they've taken profit doesn't mean we can't go higher, but that was a clear resistance point as they took profit off of this buy here. So we know, no doubt that we've got algos are playing this from the long side as well. So as an Elliott trader, I can look here and think, okay, I got 5 there. I got a kind of an ugly ABC, but there it is. And it certainly is a technical pivot. That's really what I'm after. That's more important to me than what the count is. Do I have a technical pivot to work with? Well, certainly I do. So now if I take that off, so if we allow for that, all right, as a potential completed, so there's a 1-2. Well, then I get a 1, 2, 3, 4. I get a very shallow 4 in this little wispy 5, yet there is a contender for a second 1. I mean, I might have to go down to the 5 minute to really carve that out. But it's there, and we don't overlap. The 4 does not overlap the 1, so I can make a case for a 1-2, 1-2. Well, how do we know? When are we going to know? Well, of course, we can check to see how technical this is. So from my proposed 2 low to this proposed wave 1 high, well, yet again, here I am. Here's my 50, right between the 50 and the 618. We get a slight overlap here, but that's not necessarily relevant here, is that the 4 would be relevant here, but just structural. You can always make this case that we're coming back into what appears to be pretty well established support here. We tap it, 1, 2, 3. Prior resistance becomes the support, so that's a contender for a 2. Now, I'm not going to feel really good about this until I see, well, first we got to take out this high. I'd like to see us get that target. And now if we're going to get a good clean, if this is going to play as a 1, 2, and I've got my little ABC in here. If this is my 2, well, I got to start getting some juice out of this move here. Now, that's a good start to it. So within this, I can see a 1, 2. There's my impulsive 3, perhaps a little retrace here. But then, yet again, it's not enough to be anything other than the 1 of the 3 of this degree here. So with this as my target up here for my third, off of this 1, 2, got a reasonable target up here. You know, for first stop, we got to break this. We got to break this pivot so we can get more conviction behind this on the assumption that I've got a 1, 2, 1, 2. I'd like to see us get that target and then keep rolling. So we've got a contender here to be digging us out of this deep hole here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can we keep it going? Well, bears are going to beg to differ with this bias. So the bearish count is going to be pretty straightforward. All right, so here's your bear count. This is what a bear sees. All right, so we're coming off of this 4, and we are not done yet putting in the 5th. So you make a pretty strong case here. So 1, very deep 2. 2s have been the challenge with Bitcoin. So we get this. Let me move this out of the way. So from my 4 here, I've got a 1, 2, and then I can get this subdivision here to play here. I can get my impulsive structure down to this as a potential third, and then all I've done here is just put in a 4. They're pretty straightforward. Swing high, 2 pivot high to my 3 pivot low. Well, I can get, whether it's this or this. You know, I actually think, well, it could be either one, actually. So let's just measure that. So if I take from my low here, so that's the one I showed you to the tick. So this is potentially now my 4 with that very perfect ABC into that 4. So A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a C. So where do we invalidate that? Well, this could keep going, right? So here's my wave 1 high up here. So there could be a deeper correction, although the deeper we go, the lower the probability that we've got a 4. So this 50 here is going to be significant coming back the other direction. You know, right now, the other thing we might do just real quick here is check this for some market geometry. So I've got I think that's modified, and that's the shift. So let's check modified. So it could be another tap up here, but this looks like, so this could play here. We could still have that 4 going in here. This would move over. So that's a reasonable target right now until that high is broken, excuse me, until we break that. Boy, it's hard to argue with the significance of that pivot given that perfect algo tap. So back we come. So we just won't know until we see. We're going to need to see a pretty substantial move come out of this and go up. And I'd like to see it challenge that 618. Now resistance there, you know, it all sets it up so it can play that way. But this move here needs some conviction, and it needs to happen relatively soon, right? Otherwise, we just roll over. Now, from the bearish count, the contender here, if I take that off, we'd have potentially this. We'd be doing 1, deep 2, 3, 4, and we come down for 5 to challenge those lows. Let me get that wicked off. So that would be the bearish count. That would include potentially breaking that significant pivot. We don't have to break it, but that's what they're seeing. So 1, 2, much like this 1, 2, and this 1, 2. This was a little bit better, but these deep 2s. So if we think about that in a context, now you got to pay attention to the symmetry here. So the length of this 2 relative to the length of this 4. Now we do have the rule of alternation. It's a tendency for 2 and 4 to alternate from simple to complex. So here's our simple. Here's our complex. Well, you know, we'll have to see. This is going to need to start heading lower with conviction to scare the bulls off. So right now I still lean bullish. But until we break that high, you can't ignore this count. So you got to pay attention to that so that you're not surprised by whatever you see, what the price action looks like. So you got to pick a side here. Could go either way. That's the problem with Bitcoin right here. It could easily go either way. Until we break this pivot here, we get on the other side of the median lines, then we'll start to get more conviction in the bullish count. Until that's broken, this is still a very real possible possible resolution to this count from the 1, 2, 3, 4 into that perfect pivot. We could easily come back down in 5. So you gotta trade carefully in here now. Still no clarity, just potential, just potential. All right, guys. Again, give us a follow over on Twitter. Username is Trade Devils with an S. If you're interested in more of what we can offer to you in our membership and the education, and applying this methodology to any asset, crypto, futures, forex, equities, indexes, doesn't matter. It's the same approach. Every chart's a chart. If that interests you, give us a visit over on our website. That's tradedevils.com. All right, guys, that'll do it for today.